Hello, this is Adrian Gomez, and this is the next in this series of creating a native build and also creating a plugin for Corona for Android. So, if you haven't seen the other videos that come before this one, I would suggest you do. So, for what we're going to do here is now trying to pass other parameters to the library. So, originally, this init call. All I had was the listener, so I've added two parameters inside a table, the app key and this testing equal true. I could add more, but this becomes very tedious quickly, so I wanted to keep it as short as possible. I might add more offline. So here's the method, or the function, and this is on the Lua loader, and this is the code that I copied from Amazon. You see it here. So all those parameters come in a stack. And originally we were sending the listener, and you see here that it says 1. So the listener is a stack, is an index 1, and Nua does double index. So originally this is what the stack looked like when it came into this function. So we added a table to it. So the table would become number 2, and it also will become number 1, and the listener changes to -2. So this still works because the listener stays 1 when you're using positive numbers, and so you don't need to change that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to make sure that the item on the stack at 2 is reading a table, and we do that by saying if L is table and specifying the index. We could either put the -1 or the 2. I'm just going to keep them all positive for now because it's easier to understand. And then if it is a table, then we're going to grab the first field value, and when you do get field, what you're doing is that you're taking the field that you're specifying and you're putting it in the stack or on top of the stack. So in this case, I think I named it app key. That's the first field. And what that means is that now it looks something like this. And I'm going to wait until the end. Now, you notice that I have the stack backwards, but that's okay because it makes it easier for me to understand, because I just put the negative, instead of counting backwards, I'm just counting forward, and then I could count forward back up. But if it's easier for you to put the app key on the top and know that's the first, the top of the stack, then that's perfectly fine. So then what I end up doing now is that I check to make sure that app key is a string, and I do that again by isString, and now it's 3. So I specified 3 is the index of app key, and if it is a string, then I'm going to put it up in a variable here, and I'm going to say a string app key, and I have to do and this is going to complain because it doesn't app key equal, and then I could app key equal, and then I'm going to just get that value to string, and I specify the index of that, which is 3. You see, because the app key is sitting in 3. Now there's probably cleaner and better explanation of how this works on YouTube, but I'm trying my best here, so hopefully it's easier, and it should be not that difficult to understand. So this is my stack at the moment, and what I'm going to do now is going to pop the top of the stack. So I am going to say L, pop, and I'm going to say just pop 1, and then that means that this is going to look like this, like when it originally came in. And then we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do get field, and 2 for the index of the table, and then the string of the field, which is testing. Again, that's going to put on top of the stack, this field is testing, so that the stack is going to look like oh, I made a mistake here. This would be -2, and this would be -1, and then is testing would be 3, and this would be -1. And then I check to make sure that it's Boolean, is Boolean. And again, I'm dealing with 3, so I can put either 3 here or -1. And then if Boolean, if it is a Boolean, I'm going to create a key here, a property, and say is testing, and I'm going to make it false. So it's going to default to false. And if it is a Boolean, I'm going to is testing equal. And I'm going to turn it to Boolean, and the index of and just to keep things clean, to keep the stack exactly how it came in, I'm just going to pop the one that I pushed onto the stack. So at the end of all this, it'll be exactly like it came in originally. Okay? Now, to get past this barrier, what I call the barrier inside this activity, the activity run, these properties have to be final. So the only way I've been able to do this, and I've looked on YouTube, and there's probably a better way, but all I do is create a new property, and I just name it final app key, and I say that it equals app key, and final Boolean final is testing. And then there's some cleanup you could do here, but if you wanted to, you could zero out these two. And so now we have final app key and final is testing. And I am going to that's because I have them inside. So that works, and is testing. And that should work. So I'm going to run this, and hopefully, I probably will cut it because I don't, it takes a long time for this to run on my machine. So what happened is I ran it. It ran perfectly fine, which is a first for me because I usually have to run it a million times for it to work. The ads are showing up You see the ads here. There's a response, and if I bring up the pictures, you can see that there's an ad at the bottom, the banner ad. So hopefully this has been useful for somebody. Again, to reiterate, mostly what we covered here is passing parameters to the function and how to handle the stack as it's coming in. And this about the stack and the function I want to mention is universal to the Lua stack, and it is almost exactly the same whether you're doing it in Java or iOS. So it's helpful for any type of Corona plugin that you're doing. In the next video, which I might record right after this one, I'm going to show you how to return a value from the function. And to that end, I'm going to create another function to see if the ad is loaded, and then I'm going to return either 1 or 0 or true or false from that function on the Java side to let you know that it is loaded. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's it.